All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of What's What BR. Today we have the famous Dr. Patel, who's on our Inspire Health cover for anybody who hasn't seen it. But Rubin, how are you?
We're great, man. How are you doing today?
We're awesome. So, for anybody who doesn't know, this is the guy behind all of the Patient Plus and the urgent care facilities that almost every corner you turn around there becomes another one. So, tell us, what's the short pitch? What's the pitch? Kind of how did this get started? What made you say, I'm going into urgent care?
Yeah, graduated from Earl K. Long in internal medicine, and I was with one of the fairly large organizations in town doing internal medicine, and they had an after-hours program that other doctors would come in and work for a couple hours Monday through Thursday. I liked doing it, so I finally was able to convince them to let me do it. And that was about 3 or 4 years into my career with them. Soon, I got them to expand it to 12 to 8 p.m. And then there was a very smart manager at that time that said, "Why don't we try to do this all day?" And I was like, "Yes, that's what I've been trying to get the management to do. So yes, let's run this all day." And that's how the urgent care program started at this major facility. After around the 2006, 2014, 15 time, I was trying to pitch more marketing, trying to pitch more advertising, wasn't getting anywhere, was just getting roadblocks and trying to grow the business. We had 3 urgent cares at that point. And then my staffing just kept getting reduced. I kept getting basically getting pilfered going to other departments. So finally, I finally decided that it was time to make a move. If I didn't make the move then I was just going to end up being a company man the rest of my life probably. And the other part to that was my dad started his first hotel when he was 44 years old. He built it, he designed it, built it, managed it, and owned it. And that started at 44 years of age. And he grew that to about 6 hotels until he started kind of divesting out. But so it was almost same time frame. I was 43 years old and said, if I don't do this now, then I'm definitely going to end up becoming a company man. So we started the business. First clinic opened January 2016. That was in the Mid-City area. Bocage was next later that year. In August of 2017, we had South Downs. And that's the one that, basically a lot of people know because it's the cornerstone of College Lee and Perkins, right there. College Lee and Perkins. You can't miss it. Right at the corner. Funny story about that one. My first year of residency, I lived in a house behind that lot. So
Really?
yeah, I remember that lot when it was just all grass and lots of political signs all the time. So
Yeah, that's got to be a little bit of a full circle. I remember I had a similar. I was in the tech business, and we had to get internet, and I bought internet from this company, and then I think it was like 6 years later, I turned around and went and bought that company. That I was that was providing me internet access, and it was kind of that just surreal of like, maybe this thing is going to work.
yeah,
So,
yeah, and it was funny. Like when I told people what we were doing, like, you sure there's enough space there? And I said, we didn't know at first, but then when we started, raising everything, we found there was a lot more land than we thought. And if you ask customers there or patients there, there's not enough parking. So I wish we could build a second floor garage, but we're not that big yet. But after South Downs, we did Delmont in February 2019. And then we kind of did back to back November, December 2019. So 3 clinics in 2019. We did Prairieville and Broadmoor. And then, as you probably know, Brandon, next Monday, not this Monday, sorry, Monday, May 24th will be St. George, Patient Plus St. George, which is right next to Ambrosia on Segan Lane. Really excited about that one. And then I'm happy to say that we closed today on Patient Plus Bruley. And we'll be starting construction next week for that. And we'll plan to open that by November or December of this year. So that'll be 2 more clinics for this year. So, yeah.
wow. And so, Bully, this is that you say construction. So this is all new coming out of the ground,
Yeah,
right?
you're the first one. You're the first one actually telling today. We've kind of kept it quiet just to make sure that we closed on the land. And I'm happy to say that you're the first, and now the public knows because when they broadcast this, the Patient Plus release coming will be there by the end of the year, and we're going to literally be next to walk-ons.
I'll have to come to that one. And I was going to say, I went to the college Lee and Perkins when you opened that one. I went to the, kind of open house, and just to kind of segue us, into talking, I remember, I think it was you and I were talking, or somebody, I think it was you, was telling me like one of and it stuck out in my mind was the exam rooms had the windows on the doors, and it was like that was by design because you had seen over time, or tell me if I'm getting this wrong, but it was so that patients go in normally into a an doctor's office, and they shut the door, and you're like just kind of sitting there like, do they even know I'm in here? What's the story? What's the deal? But there you could sit and you could look out and wave at somebody, and they could see you, and it just wasn't, you weren't just stuck. And for some reason that stuck out to me.
Yeah, and I think you got the story right on. You nailed it. The word we try to use is transparency. We try to be transparent. What we try to say is from when the time you walk in to the time you leave. And what we mean by that is when you walk in, if you wanted to pay cash, boom, here's our cash pricing. Everything is on that piece of paper. You know exactly how much you're going to pay for every single thing before you even come into for a visit, versus how many places you go in and you don't know anything. By the time you come out, then they give you the pricing sheet and you're like, what the heck what did I just do? So the other part to the transparency is when you're checking in at the front desk, there's a big glass behind you. So you can see behind you what's going on. And you're looking right at the nurses station. You're looking at the doctors, the NPs, the PAs, the nurses, the rad techs, and you're watching them all work behind the scenes. So that kind of carries on to when you go into in your exam room, because the same thing, like you're saying, there's a glass door, so you can see in and out of your room. You can see what's going on in the nurse's station. If you don't want to be part of that process, you just close the curtain, and then nobody can see in and you can't see out. Now, the funny story about that, the way I thought about that, is that last place where I was in charge of the urgent care, I can't tell you how many times patients would open the door and say, "Did you forget about me in here?" And so that's where that all came about, to where they could see what's going on, and they could see that we're working and we're running up and down the hall, and we're not just sitting in our office just waiting for someone to ask what's going on. So again, the key word there, transparency.
Absolutely. Yeah, I went just my personal experience. I don't mind telling anybody. This was July 3rd, I guess, last year. I'd just gotten an Apple Watch and never had it before. I'm a tech guy, but I always swore, wasn't going to do it, but ended up doing it. And then just woke up one day, kept buzzing me all night, kept looking at it, just wouldn't pay attention, just assumed it was text, everything going on. It kept telling me my heart rate was going up, elevated heart rate while you're sitting. I'm like, what in the world is this? So I kept going off all day. And I'm like, at some point, I'm starting to feel bad. Something's not right here. So I called Steven over at your place and was like, Steven, I need to come in, but I don't want to come in and just get turned around and shoved off to the ER, because of a CYA. I said, here's what's going on. I got a heart rate. It's going crazy. It's telling me I got like 170, and I'm just sitting. And he's like, no, come in. We'll take care of you. We'll see you. So I go over to the Broadmoor Clinic, actually, get in there. I'm telling you, like just in, out, like in 2 seconds, they come in, start checking me out. They're like, you got a fever. And I'm like, yeah, had no idea. Sit there. They come and listen. They're like, let me hold on. And then they're like, let's get an x-ray. Fast forward, they come back. They're like, you have COVID and double pneumonia.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
like, excuse me? And so I was like, are you serious? They're like, yeah. And they called everything. Like everybody just kind of like literally just dived in and took care of everything. It was phenomenal. But I was sitting in a room, I was looking out, I was seeing people coming by. They were like, hey, can we help? And I remember it was like, is everybody gonna be scared to even talk to me? Are they gonna like clear the building, let me walk out and then spray it down beforehand? But no, it was overall, awesome experience. not having
Well,
COVID.
good. I mean, that's something that we stress, and that started at the Mid City Clinic when we were trying to, we're not trying to go and say, hey, come rate us, come give us a 5-star. When we try to talk to people, we try to tell them, look, if we love to hear what you think about us, whether it's good or bad, because the only way we can improve is if you tell us what's going on. So that's why we try to say, please give us a rating, whether on Google or Facebook, wherever you want to do it, but tell us what's going on. Tell us what was good, what was bad. And so that's one of the things we've stressed from day one. And in fact, we've had a re-education on that. The reviews are, again, if you look at any of our clinics, there's some clinics up to 800, 900 reviews, and we're just 5 years in. Even Broadmoor, I think Broadmoor looked at it the other day, was at 673 reviews. And all the clinics are like 4.8 to 4.9. And what we try to do is when we get a 3-star, 2-star, 1-star on those reviews, we go and we'll try to call the patients. If we can't reach them, we'll try to email them and try to find out what exactly happened. And if we can, bring them back in and see how we can change that experience they had. And again, not give them the medications they want, but change their feelings about the visit, make sure they understand why they were given the medicines they were given. And if we did miss something, how can we come back and either rectify the situation? So that's what we try to do. And a lot of times it's funny though. We had 2 reviews this week that we looked over. I think they were both either a 3-star or a 1-star. And when we called the individuals back, they're like, oh, I didn't know I gave you a 3-star. I didn't have any issues with that. So we even get those where they're just probably clicking something and didn't mean to do what they did, but it was good to at least call them and make sure. So
yeah, we used to say we averaged, at least when I had the tech companies, we had 1 or 2 a week, where people would email into like the support desk saying that their email didn't work, and could we get it fixed? It's like, come on, like, how do we fix this? It's, the tech is great, but sometimes, like you said, people just click through real fast. They don't realize what they're, rating or reviewing, or if it ever makes a difference. So,
yeah.
But with that, I wanted to jump in and, kind of steer us a little bit, not just, there's a lot of urgent care. There's a lot of healthcare. Healthcare is changing overall, I think as a whole. I think we're seeing things that look different, but you guys are not only doing expansion with new locations, but also doing new things, more than just what you normally would.
Yeah, you have to, just like any other business, you got to have multiple avenues of revenue, multiple revenue streams. So, we have now partnered with Prime Occupational Medicine, and we are now helping the Mid-City and the North Baton Rouge area with occupational medicine needs services at our Mid-City clinic. So at 2840 Florida Boulevard, which is right down the road from downtown, we have retrofitted that clinic to an occupational medicine clinic as well. So that was one of our bigger clinics. It was like 5,000 square feet, and we had a meeting room that was basically sitting empty. And we converted that into like an occupational medicine area where you have fit tests, weight tests, different type of studies you can do there. We also have, audio room where we can do the hearing tests. And then we have a separate bathrooms that we built for drug testing. So we literally have an occupational medicine side and an urgent care side, but you can't tell because we utilize areas in the clinic that were not being used. So you shouldn't have the feel that it's a cramped feeling. To go along with that, just be like we're always trying to improve whatever we're doing. We were finally able to convince the owner of the property. There was an old house that was dilapidated, iron, and it was not able to be renovated to my standards. And I was finally able to convince them to let us tear down the house. So with that, we tore down the house, beautifying the area, but also able to expand our parking lot. So now that with the improved occupational medicine services, we now have additional parking to serve our customers' needs, our patients' needs. So again, trying to, for 5 years, more than 5 years ago, when we tried to bring urgent care to an area of Baton Rouge that was desperately needed, when the Baton Rouge General Hospital closed down, we're now trying to do the same with occupational medicine. And again, with that, trying to beautify the area, trying to reinvigorate the area by tearing down a property that was dilapidated and cleaning up the area for the community.
No, that's the kind of giving back part, right? It's the community's good to you, you good to the community. What's good for the community is good for you. What's good for you is good for the community. It's less, kind of everything goes hand in hand, with
Right.
that. And so, and it's innovative, right? Like, we've got the space. Why don't we use it for DocMed? Let's try that. Let's utilize it. Let's make it easier for somebody. You guys you have your own program, right? It's a new,
Yeah.
this is new. This is brand new, really. I don't know anybody.
You mentioned Stephen, and I'll brag about Stephen Presley. Stephen Presley has kind of, came over from our last place with us. He was one of our PAs, then became the lead providers at the clinic, and then became basically our director of clinic operations. And now we've advanced him even further to director of business operations, and also the COO of occupational medicine. But you mentioned this new program. I want to bring that up because he had a vision for this as well. It's called Direct Plus, and Direct Plus is it's basically it's a kind of a concierge urgent care practice. So you pay a monthly fee to join this, and then when you come in, you get everything taken care of. For that flat fee every month, you're going to get all your visits, no matter how many times you come in. Obviously, we might say something if you're coming in 5 or 6 times. That means all your x-rays, all your flu tests, all your strep tests, all your urine tests. That's all covered in the visit, So this is the way we look at that is individuals that maybe have a really high deductible plan, and these days it could be $5,000, $10,000. This is a better program for them because at this time the pricing is like $40 a month. If you look at it this way, $480 a month. $480 a year, you get everything taken care of. You come in, you don't have to come and give your credit card. You don't have to pull out your insurance, because this is just kind of we call it direct urgent care or Direct Plus, and we're taking care of all the visits for free. Well, not for free, but for that one monthly fee.
Right. Yeah. But that's, I even look at it from it's a way to budget, but it also makes it a lot easier to where, I know people, they're like, well, I'm not going in on this will pass, in a couple of days. I don't want to have to spend the money. I'm going to have to pay this out of pocket, because we all know insurance is doing nothing. My insurance has never gone down, so it's going to continually go up. And the only way to move it potentially down for people is going to start moving to these high deductible, plans.
And Brandon, I would tell you that the person, you may be that individual. This could be like my brother who owns a small construction company. When you're small, you can't afford insurance because of what you're saying, the rising costs, the high, even though the deductibles keep going higher and higher, the pricing is it's getting priced out of everyone's. But maybe if you owned your business and you had 2 or 3 employees that you love and you want to keep, and maybe you buy this package for them, and now they're coming in to be seen, and they look at it as a free benefit, a free health benefit that you're covering for them. Or maybe maybe it's a half and half thing. They pay half the price and you pay half the price. But the other part to that is now, if you have that executive assistant, he or she has got the sniffles, and you're like, in the past, you just kind of bypass it and say, maybe it'll get better. Now you can say, hey, we have Direct Plus. Go to Patient Plus and get seen right now. Go get your steroid shot. Go get your x-ray. Go get a flu test, strep test. Find out what's going on, versus, like you said, you're just sitting at home wallowing and just saying, no, I don't feel good. It'll pass. 2 days later, 3 days later, and then all of a sudden you finally go in and you're really sick. Maybe we can cut this off after a day or two. So that's where we see also the big benefit is for small businesses. that maybe cannot afford health insurance at this time because it's so costly, as well as those individuals maybe that have a high deductible and they can come in and be seen for that.
Well, it also seems I immediately go not only just to the small, but even the some of these larger groups that they do rate you based on their the insurance. They're looking at your usage. I know every year they come back and they can tell us, well, you got some high users here, and so it's maybe even that. But then even if you went to the really high side to where it's hey, we're self-insured. It's like, hey, it seems like this is it's the everything becomes a service. These days everything turns into a subscription. That's kind of the lifestyle. You can get dog food on a subscription now, and I think it's progressive. It's good to see, especially here, what you guys are doing and we're going to make this cost effective. You're saying $40, really, that's, I think if I went to urgent care right now, I'd probably pay you 50, at the door to walk in, I think.
Yeah. The people's copays can be anywhere from 50 to 100, but if they're on a high deductible plan, they're going to pay the entire visit, right? So now, the way I look at it, if you just went strictly off our cash prices, if you did an office visit, an X-ray, a flu test, a strep test, and then you got a steroid shot, you're looking, and we're on the cheaper end because of healthcare, of urgent care in this town. You're still looking around close to over $200, definitely over $200. Some other places you might be paying $300 or $400 for all those things I just mentioned. So, I mean, if you look at it that way, you're covering basically almost half a year in costs with just that one visit there.
Yeah, and I think it's the reason why I think people like the subscription type models, because it's it's a budgetable item. At that point, if you've got I was telling somebody about this program actually the other day that has younger kids, and it's like they're in daycare. It sounds like every time I turn around, your kid's got something. It's like. But they're not wanting to pay, even if they had, I didn't know, I didn't get into the details with them, but like, even if you had regular insurance, let's say you've got a $50 deductible, or a copay, $50 copay, you could sign up for this, and if you got to jump in there 3 times a month, it's paid off. So may not want a bunch of those people, but hey, so tell me anything new. We got the new location going on. We've got lots of things happening, new innovative programs. Stephen helped me. He's helped you build this program. Got lots of people. How's the traffic coming in? Is it busy? Is it?
Yeah,
this has been the crazy year.
I would tell you that October through January was, I don't know if we'll ever have months like that again. It was just phenomenal, but it literally was not true urgent care, because it was, if you looked at my panel, it was COVID, sprained ankle, COVID, runny nose, COVID, upset stomach, COVID. So we knew it was not sustainable. We knew we were doing a good service for the community. Don't get me wrong, but we knew that wasn't sustainable. But I will tell you that we dropped almost 50% from January to February, and then we kind of picked back up in March and April. But it's urgent care now. There's some sprinkle of COVID in there, but it's not what it was before. So this is more of a sustainable model going forward. Now, with that, I will tell you that the Patient Plus is, we did do approximately 2,700 COVID tests last month in April, and we had about a 13% positivity rate. So it is out there. I know I walked into one of my clinics the other day, and one of my providers was like, yeah, don't go in that room. That patient may have what we're talking about. So without violating any kind of HIPAA laws here. So it's still out there. We still need to be careful about it, but hopefully most people are now vaccinated. And as long as we continue to do the right things, but I really believe we're heading in the right direction, just by what our numbers are showing us and how many people are coming in. And I do think that probably fall and winter will probably be a little bit heavier on cold and flu. And, because I think the mask mandates will be gone. And, I think we as Americans are not like our counterparts in Asia, and I mean China and Japan, that usually wear masks no matter what, even with or without COVID. And I bring that up because with us not preferring masks, and I don't have a feeling one way or the other, I'm just saying that if we're not wearing masks, that's how your germs and viruses spread, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I think our numbers will continue to be about the same, or if not better, as we see less of the masks.
Right. Well, tell me, do you think, I think, it seems like that this, pandemic, this COVID, this has changed healthcare as a, overall as a whole. I hear people that are saying, I don't want to go to an emergency room. I'd rather go, here. And then at the same token, I think we were already on a shift, or at least I felt like there was a lot of, younger generation that didn't have primary care. They just always used urgent care. You've seen that, obviously you guys are opening new clinics. Is that becoming more the norm, you think, or?
Yeah, I think it before, when we, 5 years ago when we were opening, people were still asking me, what are you doing? What is this clinic? Even though urgent cares have been around, or after hours clinics have been around since the 90s, people were still not familiar with urgent cares. And I think in the last 5 years, and definitely in the last couple of years, or in the past year, with the ERs, people are trying to avoid ERs as much as possible. You had the push to go to an urgent care to be treated or be seen. And even if you go back further than last year, there are many young people and middle-class individuals, in their 30s and 40s still, that are saying, Rubin, I don't have a primary care physician. I go to Patient Plus. You are my primary care physician. And I'm like, well, I try to correct them a little bit. So I try to say, thank you for coming to see us, but you still should have a primary care physician. But you definitely see that shift is present. It's not going away anytime soon. And even if you try to go see a primary care physician, you can't see them. When you're sick, call your primary care physician, like, oh, we could probably get you in Wednesday. Or I can make you go see someone else, maybe my partner. Like, no, I don't want to see your partner. And when can I see your partner? Well, he's got an opening at 4:55 today. No, that's it's always on their schedule, versus the way we operate is we're on your schedule, right? And we're not only on your schedule, you can actually pick your time now with us. So you can go to any of the soon to be 7 clinics. Find which one's closest to you. Try to find a time that's convenient for you, and you can come in. So let's say it's 9 o'clock. You're feeling like crap. You wake up and you're like Bebo, and you got snot and the dancing demons on your tongue. You can get on patientplusuc.com. You go to a website, find the clinic you want, and say, I am going to be free around 2. Boom, click, set your appointment at 2, and you're set. And you come in at 2 and be seen. So,
well, not only that, but can't you? I did an appointment. I didn't even go.
Yeah.
It's my son. He had a problem with here's one for everybody, a tooth. And it was, I forget what day is it Friday? The dentists are not open, most of them, or it was whatever the day that they're usually not open. And so I went, I didn't want to drive him across town, even though I know, like I said, I've had a good experience. It was quick, but it was just we literally just booked telemedicine, grabbed an iPhone, shoved it, right up to his mouth. And they're like, yeah, he's going to need an antibiotic and he's going to need this, and you need to get with the dentist, but we can take care of that. Here's what you need to do. Didn't even leave the kitchen.
Brandon, you brought about what are some of the major changes that this COVID pandemic has brought to healthcare, and I would say a couple of things. One, no doubt about telehealth, telemedicine. It made us probably move up our timeline on that 18 months. Again, bring up Stephen Presley. Stephen Presley has been wanting telehealth, telemedicine for a long time for Patient Plus, and I was kind of the one that was putting on the brakes. But with this pandemic, it definitely sped us up 18 months, and we have it. We had it at the beginning of the pandemic, and Stephen Presley was the lead force on that. So definitely telehealth. We use those services. We saw that trend fairly on, that it was a big push for that, but we haven't seen as much recently. It appears that people feel comfortable coming back into the clinics. But telehealth has been a big push in the medical field. I'd also say scheduling appointments, trying to get in and be seen when the time is convenient for yourself. So those are some of the bigger changes we've seen in the healthcare industry.
Yeah. Well, I think it's, I tell people all the time, I've got, multiple companies, and I've done Zoom for years. Actually, a few years ago, got an award for, one of the top 10% of Zoom users in the world. But I could never get on a Zoom call with anybody, here in Baton Rouge. I'd be like, hey, you want to jump on Zoom? And they're like, what? And it wasn't even worth the headache of trying to get them, to do it. Now it's like, hey, we're going to jump on Zoom. I told somebody the other day, it's like, I'm never, ever, ever driving downtown for a 15-minute meeting, again. So we'll do this, just as we are now with Zoom. But so I think it's helped. I think it's.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is probably my third one today. I had a Microsoft Teams meeting at 8:30, had another meeting in between there, and then this is my third meeting. So this is the new norm, that's whether it's healthcare, whether it's an accounting firm, whether it's an engineering firm. These are how people are meeting now. And this is another, if there's something else that's changed with medicine, is definitely these kind of meetings. Whether it's, so I hate it. I'm sorry, let me make sure I say that right. I miss the one-on-one conversations in front of someone. I like the meetings in front of people. But I do love the convenience of this. So I don't hate this. Don't get me wrong here. I love the convenience of these type of meetings where, like you're saying, you don't have to drive across town. You don't have to go to New Orleans for a meeting. You can now do all this over your Surface Pro, or like I did this morning, I used my cell phone and did my meeting. Had my Microsoft Teams meeting. So,
yeah, no, it's good. And I think what it does, it's kind of the old school way, when you'd interview, you did the phone interview first, to find out if it's worth the time of bringing them in. It's like you can start your deals out with people, working it over calls and Zoom. And it's like, okay, but I tell my people, got to get in front of somebody. You got to go, you can't look at somebody in the eyes the same way you can, on Zoom as you can in person. You miss some of it. And that's, I told somebody the other day, they were like, yeah, our business is down. We don't get to do trade shows anymore. We missed the booth. And I was like, you never did business at the booth. You did business at the bar after the show. That's where all your deals happened. It was the face-to-face, right, meeting and talking. You might've met the person at the booth and, like, okay, yeah, I'm kind of interested, but that's the interaction. That's where the deal was made, if you really get down to it. So
great point there, Brandon. Great point.
So look, I appreciate you taking some time. I usually, tell everybody you got more important things to do than sit around and talk to me. So
no, I love this kind of stuff. I think this is the best way to kind of talk about your company, talk about your culture, and let people know who you are versus just seeing that face on TV now with the doll, with the Bebo, because everyone's always like, oh, you're the guy with the puppet, right? And like, yeah, that's Bebo. But no, it's good to talk about our company, talk about our culture, and grow the brand.
Absolutely. Well, look, I appreciate one. We'll have you come back when you have a little more of the details, on the Bruley location, and then we can talk and maybe dive a little more into, which I had it down. I wanted to talk about, but for everybody, the short version is the culture with people is awesome. There, if we've talked about it, but maybe, come back, talk a little bit about, how you've been able to grow that culture and what, I tell people all the time, culture doesn't just happen. If it does, it's a shitty culture. You've got to purposely work on it. So, we'll talk about that next time.
All right, sounds good. I appreciate you reaching out to me, Brandon. You have a good day.
You too, man.
Bye, guys.